John Cena just ended Dominik Mysterio's championship reign in the most embarrassing squash match I've ever seen, and if you think Dirty Dom deserved better than getting absolutely destroyed in under 10 minutes by a part-timer on his retirement tour, you need to explain to me why a 27-year-old wrestler in his supposed prime should be protected when he just got exposed as the paper champion everyone knew he was. Monday Night Raw just witnessed a massacre disguised as a championship match. Dominik Mysterio, who's been playing the cowardly heel with the Judgment Day backing for months, finally had to stand alone against John Cena. No Rhea Ripley to interfere. No Finn Balor to save him. No Damian Priest to cause a distraction. Just Dominik and his complete lack of credibility facing a legend on his farewell tour. And what happened? Exactly what everyone with functioning brain cells knew would happen. Cena demolished him. From the opening bell, this wasn't even competitive. Cena hit the attitude adjustment within the first 3 minutes. Dominik kicked out because WWE needed to pretend he had a chance. But then Cena just kept coming. Another AA, 5-knuckle shuffle. A third attitude adjustment. Dominik's trying desperately to escape, to use his usual cowardly tactics, but there's nowhere to run. Cena's on a mission, and that mission is ending Dominik's embarrassing title reign before it damages the championship beyond repair. The finish came at exactly 9 minutes and 43 seconds. Cena locks in the STF. Dominik screaming, reaching for ropes that are too far away. He's trying to fight out, but John Cena's been making people tap out to this move for 20 years. Dominik has no choice. He taps. The crowd explodes. John Cena is your new champion, and Dominik Mysterio's reign of terror, if you can even call it that, is mercifully over. Here's my first question: did Dominik Mysterio ever deserve to be champion, or was this title reign a mistake from day one? Drop your brutally honest answer in the comments. Let me be crystal clear about something: I have nothing personal against Dominik Mysterio as a human being. By all accounts, he's a nice guy, he works hard, and he's trying to honor his father's legacy. But as a performer positioned as a champion, he was never ready. Not skill-wise, not character-wise, not credibility-wise. WWE gave him the title hoping fans would accept him as a legitimate threat, and instead we got months of him barely retaining through interference and chicken shit tactics. The build to this match was actually well done, I'll give WWE credit for that. Cena returned for his retirement tour and specifically called out Dominik. He said Dominik was everything wrong with modern wrestling: entitled, lazy, and coasting on his father's name while accomplishing nothing on his own merit. That promo cut deep because it was true. Every word of it was accurate, and Dominik couldn't dispute it. Dominik tried to fire back, talking about how Cena was just a has-been trying to stay relevant, how this new generation didn't need his approval. But Dominik's promos have always been his weakest aspect. He sounds like a petulant child throwing a tantrum rather than a credible champion defending his legacy. The contrast between Cena's polished, confident delivery and Dominik's whiny retorts made it clear who was the real star. The week before the match, WWE did this brilliant segment where they showed Rey Mysterio watching from backstage. Rey's torn, that's his son, and they're getting verbally destroyed by Cena, but Rey also knows Cena's right. Rey built his career on heart, passion, and incredible in-ring ability. Dominik's built his career on nepotism and interference. The look on Rey's face said everything: disappointment mixed with resignation that his son was about to learn a very hard lesson. Quick poll: should Rey Mysterio have gotten involved to help his son, or did Dominik need to face Cena alone? Sound off below. Let's talk about what this match means for both competitors. For Cena, this is potentially his last championship win. He's on his retirement tour, and WWE gave him one final moment of glory. Cena with a championship on his farewell run creates instant storyline possibilities. Who challenges him? How long does he hold it? Does he retire as champion? The booking writes itself, and Cena's proven he can still deliver in big moments. For Dominik, this is supposed to be a learning experience, but I'm not sure he'll learn the right lessons. Getting squashed by a legend could humble him and motivate him to improve. Or it could make him resentful and convinced that WWE doesn't believe in him. His reaction in the coming weeks will tell us everything about whether he has the mindset to eventually become the star WWE wants him to be. The crowd reaction during this match was fascinating. They were completely behind Cena from the start, which is no surprise. But what's interesting is how they reacted to Dominik. Not with heel heat, with genuine contempt. Chance of "you're not Rey," and overrated. These aren't fans who love to hate the villain. These are fans who don't respect the performer. That's the kiss of death in wrestling. Dominik's selling during the match was actually decent. He made Cena's offense look devastating. He bumped well for all 3 attitude adjustments. He showed pain and desperation in the STF. If nothing else, Dominik can sell a beating. The problem is everything else. His offense looked weak when he got any, his attempts at comebacks weren't believable, and his facial expression screamed, "I know I'm losing," rather than "I'm fighting with everything I have." The championship itself looks better on Cena in one night than it did on Dominik in 3 months. That's not an exaggeration. When Cena held the title up after winning, it felt important again. It felt prestigious. It felt like something worth fighting for. When Dominik held it, it looked like a prop he was holding for someone more deserving. Let's address the Judgment Day's absence from ringside. WWE made it clear before the match that if any Judgment Day member interfered, Dominik would be stripped of the title. So they stayed backstage, and Dominik was exposed. Some people are saying this makes the Judgment Day look weak. They should have interfered anyway to protect their member. But I think it makes Dominik look weak. A real champion doesn't need backup. A real champion can win on their own merit. Dominik couldn't, and everyone saw it. Real question, was keeping the Judgment Day backstage the right call, or should they have interfered to protect their guy? Let me know your thoughts. The aftermath of the match was just as brutal as the match itself. Dominik's lying in the ring, completely defeated. The Judgment Day finally comes out, but not to console him, to berate him. Finn Balor gets in his face, telling him he embarrassed the entire faction. Damian Priest looks disgusted. Even JD McDonough, who's barely been in the group, is shaking his head. They leave Dominik in the ring, alone and broken. This could be the start of Dominik getting kicked out of the Judgment Day, which would be interesting. Dominik as a solo act trying to prove himself could work if he's booked correctly. But WWE's track record with Dominik suggests they'll probably just have him grovel his way back into the group and will pretend this loss never happened. John Cena's post-match promo was perfect. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't mock Dominik. He simply says, "I didn't do this to embarrass you. I did this because that title means something, and it deserves to be held by someone who respects what it represents. Maybe someday you'll understand that." That's veteran class right there. Cena could have buried Dominik on the microphone, but instead he left the door open for Dominik's redemption arc. The online reaction to this match has been overwhelmingly positive, which tells you everything about how fans felt about Dominik's reign. Twitter's celebrating. Reddit's posting memes of Dominik tapping out. YouTube comment sections are full of people saying finally and about time. The consensus is clear: fans did not accept Dominik as a credible champion, and they're relieved someone they respect is holding the title now. But here's the controversial part: should WWE have never given Dominik the title in the first place? Or was giving it to him, letting him fail, and then taking it away in humiliating fashion actually good long-term booking? Building a heel by making them look like a fraud who gets their comeuppance can work, but only if the heel eventually learns and comes back stronger. Will Dominik? Dominik's championship reign statistics are damning. He held the title for 94 days. In that time, he had 8 title defenses. He won exactly 0 of them cleanly. Every single victory involved interference, referee distraction, or disqualification finishes. In 3 months as champion, Dominik never once proved he could beat anyone legitimately. That's not a championship reign, that's a prolonged angle where a fraud holds the title until someone exposes him. Compare that to past champions of this same title. Champions who elevated the belt through their performances and their reigns. Champions who had classic matches that people still talk about years later. Dominik's reign will be remembered as the time WWE tried to force an unready performer into a spot he couldn't handle, and it hurt everyone involved. Who should John Cena defend the championship against first? Give me your dream opponent in the comments. Now let's talk about John Cena's championship reign moving forward. He's announced he's retiring from full-time wrestling, so this reign has an expiration date. That creates interesting storytelling opportunities. Every defense is potentially his last. Every challenger knows they're fighting a legend on borrowed time. The emotional stakes are automatically raised. The most obvious challenger is someone from the Judgment Day seeking revenge for Dominik. Finn Balor would be the smart choice. He's the leader, he's credible, and Cena versus Balor could be fantastic. Damian Priest makes sense too. He's been positioned as a monster, and toppling Cena would establish him as a top heel. Even JD McDonough could work as a scrappy underdog trying to make his name against a legend. Outside the Judgment Day, there are compelling options. Gunther's been dominating as Intercontinental Champion. What if he moves up to challenge Cena, champion versus champion? That's a dream match with incredible build potential. Seth Rollins has history with Cena. A final chapter in their rivalry could be special. CM Punk and Cena one more time? The internet would explode. The wild card is whether Cena holds the title until WrestleMania. If he does, then his WrestleMania opponent becomes the person who gets the massive rub of retiring John Cena and winning his championship in one night. That's a career-making moment for whoever WWE chooses. But they have to choose the right person, someone young enough to benefit, credible enough to be believed as capable of beating Cena, and over enough that fans will accept them as the one to end Cena's reign. My fantasy booking: Cena holds the title until WrestleMania, where he faces Austin Theory in Theory's redemption match. Theory's been booked poorly lately, but he has undeniable potential. Having Theory defeat Cena at WrestleMania for the championship, with Cena passing the torch, would be perfect storytelling. Theory goes from Mr. Money in the Bank flop to the man who retired John Cena. That's a reset and elevation all in one moment. but WWE will probably do something safe like having Cena lose to an established star who doesn't really need the win. That's been their pattern, using legends to put over guys who are already over instead of creating new stars. Let's examine how this match was structured because it's important. This wasn't a competitive back-and-forth affair. This was a systematic dismantling. Cena controlled 90% of the match. Dominik got maybe 2 minutes of offense total, and it looked completely ineffective. WWE made a conscious choice to book this as a squash rather than giving Dominik a competitive showing before losing. That choice says everything about how WWE views Dominik. They don't see him as someone who should look strong even in defeat. They see him as someone who needed to be exposed and humbled. That's pretty damning when you think about it. WWE gave Dominik their championship, then booked him to look completely out of his depth when finally facing real opposition. Should WWE have given Dominik more offense in this match to protect him, or was the squash the right call? This is important. Comment your opinion. The Rey Mysterio angle coming out of this will be crucial. Does Rey defend his son despite the embarrassing loss? Does Rey finally admit his son isn't ready for this level? Does Rey offer to train Dominik to be better? The father-son dynamic has been a cornerstone of Dominik's character, and this loss needs to affect that relationship. My hope is that Rey gives Dominik some tough love. Son, I love you, but Cena was right. You've been taking shortcuts, relying on others, and not putting in the work to be truly great. If you want to carry the Mysterio name with pride, you need to earn it like I did. That would be powerful and could motivate Dominik's character growth. But WWE might go the other direction, Rey blindly supporting Dominik, making excuses for the loss, and enabling his son's worst tendencies. That would be more realistic family behavior but worse for Dominik's character development. The Judgment Day's next move is equally important. Do they kick Dominik out, forcing him to prove himself alone? Do they demote him to errand boy status? Do they give him one more chance to redeem himself? Each choice creates different story possibilities. If Dominik's kicked out, he could have a redemption arc where he trains, improves, and eventually earns his way back or forms his own group. If he's demoted, we get a story about fighting for respect within the faction. If he gets one more chance, we get tension about whether he'll blow it again. The championship's prestige has been instantly restored by this change. Cena holding any title makes it feel important because Cena is important. His name alone brings attention. When Cena defends the championship, it feels like a big deal regardless of opponent. That's the power of star power, something Dominik simply doesn't have yet. WWE's championship booking has been questionable for years. They put titles on people too early, leave them there too long, or take them off too quickly. Dominik's reign was all three: somehow too early because he wasn't ready, too long because 3 months of chicken shit retaining got old fast, and too quick because it ended in a squash before he accomplished anything meaningful. The lesson here should be obvious: earn your spot before you get the spotlight. Dominik was given a championship based on potential and name recognition rather than proven ability and fan acceptance. That's backwards. Give him the title after he's shown he can handle it, not before while hoping he'll grow into it. Other young wrestlers watching this should take note. Edge's daughter Lyra Valkyria is doing it right, working her way up through NXT, improving constantly, earning respect. Braun Breaker earned his spots through consistent excellent performances. Trick Williams got over through character work and in-ring improvement. None of them were handed anything, they earned it, and fans respect them for it. Rate John Cena's performance in this match on a scale of 1 to 10. Drop your rating in the comments. The production of this match was interesting too. WWE filmed it with a sense of inevitability. The camera work, the commentary, the crowd shots, everything suggested this was Cena's coronation, not a competitive fight. Michael Cole and Corey Graves weren't selling Dominik's chances, they were narrating his downfall. That's intentional storytelling that prepared viewers for the result. Some might argue that telegraphing the outcome hurts the match. But honestly, everyone knew Cena was winning anyway. Trying to pretend Dominik had a chance would have been insulting to the audience's intelligence. Better to lean into the narrative of the legend reclaiming glory one last time and the pretender being exposed. The visual of Cena holding the championship up on the turnbuckle while the crowd cheers and Dominik's crumpled in the corner is iconic. That's a moment that'll be replayed in video packages for years. That's Cena's legacy, making moments that matter. And in making this moment, he helped end a championship reign that was damaging the title's legacy. Will Dominik recover from this loss? Can he recover? That depends entirely on how he's booked next. If WWE gives him a redemption arc with meaningful character growth, he could emerge stronger. If they just forget about it and move on, this becomes a career-defining embarrassment that he never lives down. The parallels to Rey's career are worth noting. Rey also started as a young wrestler who some thought wasn't ready for the main event. But Rey proved doubters wrong through incredible performances and tireless work ethic. He earned everything he accomplished. Dominik needs to follow that example, but so far, he's been trying to skip the hard parts. The wrestling business is about paying your dues. It's about proving yourself night after night. It's about earning the respect of your peers and your audience. Dominik hasn't done that yet. He's been gifted opportunities because of his last name, and it's backfired spectacularly. This loss could be the wake-up call he needs to actually put in the work. Final question: will Dominik Mysterio ever be WWE Champion, or did this loss prove he'll never reach that level? Give me your prediction. John Cena destroying Dominik Mysterio and ending his championship reign wasn't just a match, it was a statement. A statement that legacy matters, that credibility matters, that you can't fake your way to the top in this business forever. Eventually, you get exposed, and when you do, it's brutal. Dominik's reign is over, and good riddance. It was an experiment that failed. WWE tried to make us accept someone who wasn't ready, and we rejected it. Fans voted with their reactions, with their chants, with their obvious preference for anyone else. And WWE finally listened. John Cena holding this championship on his retirement tour is the right call. It gives the title prestige, it creates must-see television every time he defends it, and it sets up a legendary WrestleMania moment when he finally loses it. That's how you book a legend's final run, with dignity, importance, and meaning. As for Dominik, this is either the beginning of his redemption story or the moment that defines him as the guy who couldn't cut it when it mattered. Time will tell which narrative WWE chooses and which one Dominik himself chooses through his work and improvement. The championship is in good hands. The title picture is interesting again. And Monday Night Raw just got a lot more watchable with Cena as champion instead of Dominik playing pretend. Sometimes, the right decision is the obvious decision. John Cena is your champion. Dominik Mysterio got brutally wrecked. And that's exactly how it should have been.